Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Vanessa Dunn, Guyton, and I am the founder and executive director of Hush No More. Hush No More supports survivors when they're ready to come forward, to share their story, to find resources, or when they just need somebody to listen. We provide free training in our communities, churches, youth groups, and we also provide free counseling to anyone, anywhere, at any time. So thank you for joining us tonight. I am really honored because I have a guest here tonight, and we're going to be talking about effects of bullying. Hello,
Hi,
Heidi.
how are
How
you
are you?
tonight?
I am wonderful. I am so honored that you could join me for this important topic, effects of bullying,
Thank you
because it's
so much.
something that we don't talk about, right? So I'm
That's
glad
right.
that you're here.
Thank you so much.
You look so beautiful. I think it's important to recognize when another woman just looks so beautiful. So you look
Thank
great
you.
tonight.
Thanks so much.
All right, so I found you on social media,
Hmm.
right? I saw your post about being bullied and
Hmm.
I was very intrigued. And so I wanted to discuss it with our Hush No More community. I'm real big on sharing the stories of survivors and advocates and nonprofit organizations. And I just felt like you're advocating for others and through your own story. So tell us a little bit about Heidi.
Well, I'm a mother. I have two kids. One's 19 almost, and one is 22. I grew up in New Jersey. I live in Pennsylvania now. And do you want me to share my story yet? Do you want me to just tell you the intro or?
Oh, just your intro was fine because I think it's important for people to just to be able to relate to know who Heidi is. So
Yes.
I think that's really important to be able to relate because you are like us. You're like me. You're like a woman that I will see in the grocery store. And I think that's
Yeah.
important, you know?
Yes. Um, So, and like you said, I have been through a lot in my life, and I'm very grateful to be on here tonight. Um, Hopefully, you won't hear a noise in the background. I have a dog as well, so I'm trying to keep everything um, good for you. But
That's
you're also beautiful as well. Your eyes, your purple is exquisite. You're such a beautiful woman. Your face is glowing. I just wanted to share that back with you.
well, thank you. It's
Yeah.
important to have a glow after you've been through a lot of trauma.
Yeah,
So I
glow up.
always try to smile. So I have
That's right.
my glow, my joy. So that's
Absolutely.
important. So tell us a little bit about your journey. What has Heidi been through?
Well, um, growing up, I would say, I was born in the 70s and 80s. I think, growing up, I had a lot of, childhood experiences. I would look back or when I was younger and think everything was just great. As for was what I saw in the past. Um, I had parents that, they did love us, and I had sisters. It was three of us growing up in our home. Some friends, we had some childhood friends and people on the street that I lived with. But the older I got, I started to experience different things in life. And when I talk about bullying, it's important to note that it encompasses a lot. Um, and I think a lot of what I started with growing up, when I talk about any bullying, um, it's not, it did start from, I believe, a lot of the home life. We just had a lot of neglect growing up. My parents loved us as much as they could, but I was a late in life baby. So my mother was about 40 when I was born. My dad was 45. And she was just emotionally, I think, spent at that point and not able to give us the care that we needed. And so there was a lot of spending a lot of time alone. Um, and when she wasn't, she was home and she was extremely depressed. And when she was not home, she was working. She was a waitress. And when she was home, there was a lot of sleeping. She wasn't able, I don't think, to be able to emotionally handle what was going on. So a lot of what she dealt with was through sleeping. And I think I learned to, we weren't taught social skills. It's important to teach your children how to be around other kids. And I think a lot of the way I either reacted to other children or just some maybe insecurities developing up my own on my part, I just did not respond well. And so there was a lot of rejection. It started in elementary, and I remember not having a good experience, not liking school. And as I got older in life, I moved on. It just got kind of worse, I would say, even through middle school, because middle school is tough for many kids. And as I went through life, there was just a lot of rejection from other children, and it was just not a good experience to start out in school. Like I said, bullying encompasses a lot, but that for me was kind of where it started.
So your mom wasn't really engaging, and we can relate to this because I know a lot of women that struggles with depression. I struggle with depression. I
Mm-hmm.
had to really get back engaged with my own children to be able to
Yes.
have those conversations with them. And we work all the time, we're going to school, we have a lot going on, and so we don't
Yes.
realize the effects of depression,
Right.
and working a lot on our children. And so I think that's
Yes.
important that you were able to look back and see that was the start, that
Yes.
was really the foundation of it. So
Definitely.
cool. Can you give us some examples of what bullying looks like for you? Because we hear bullying all the time, but what is your experience or how you look at bullying?
Okay. Well, there's a twofold. One would be looking at it from the eyes of a child or someone in school, and I see a lot of what kids are dealing with, even what I went through or what kids went through back in the day, is kind of comparison to what kids are dealing with now is so much more severe on their end. And a lot of people would just look at this and say, oh, well, this is just kids being kids. But when it becomes a consistent, either a verbal attacks, emotional attacks, rejection. I even had experiences where the kids, I'd be in school and kids would be, trying to spitballs at me, or you're in school, you're trying to be in the class and gym, and no one wants to pick you on their team. And some of that, I think some of that would be kids being kids in a way, but then when it becomes severe enough that it's a daily attack, and then I even had teachers that would be kind of laughing behind, I just remember seeing the teachers, they were not standing up for me as a child, sometimes. And I do have a couple people I remember that would be there to kind of offset when the kids would say things. But bullying to me, like you said, it is not just what kids sit in class and deal with, but it encompasses so much more, and it develops into other aspects of life, which it could be from your job, relationships. It's just in so much more than just being a kid in school and feeling rejected or left out. And what I'm seeing, and the reason why I also want to speak out on this, is because now I've known so many people who have had lost children to suicide because their bullying is so severe. So bullying to me, like you said, people just use the word bullying and say that it's just, they kind of minimize, and it can be really severe. And a lot of what we see, the schools don't want to address these issues. It's like their heads in the sand. And I'm so grateful for you because you're bringing out these subjects of Hush No More. And I've always had that idea of, oh, just move on. People in the past, like you say, they just want to minimize, and what, I don't remember you going through this. And it almost makes you think I don't have the right to share what I've dealt with in life. And I came to the point where I realized everything in life you have to speak on, because if you don't, then you become in this own world of yours that you feel like no one is able to help you. And by you sharing and people wanting to share their stories and talk about bullying, it is so important to get these experiences out there to help so many other people. So I'm not sure if that touches on.
Yeah, so it's important because
Mhm.
what happens is what we experience as a child
Yeah.
affects us as an adult. And so there's so much
Absolutely.
childhood trauma, and it's not just child molestation. It's
Oh,
it's so much more trauma that affects us, that hurts us down
mhm.
the line. And
Absolutely.
so children can suffer from depression, anxiety. Would you want to be 10 years old dealing with depression? And considering that your mom was struggling with depression, a lot of times depression can be hereditary.
It
So
is.
then we're going right on down the same cycle. And so that's why I think it's
Absolutely.
important. When you say rejection, what does rejection mean for you? What did that look like as a child to feel rejected?
Just I spent a lot of time, like I said, I had some friends. Um, it wasn't like I spent every day alone. I did have some friends, but the friendships that I had, they were not the best examples of friendships. And sometimes, if you're in a group where maybe you're not the popular kids, you're all in that group that you're maybe whatever you're dealing with, those kids are dealing with it as well. So rejection to me, I mean, I spent a lot of time alone. I love singing, and I love swinging on the swings. And so sometimes people, to this day remember stories, but I would just be spending a lot of time alone, not invited to people's houses or parties, um, just not feeling included. And like you said, that when you look back to that experience and those um, experiences those, you bring those into your future, and it's just such a severe, I would say, result of dealing with those as a child, and how it affected and affects me to this day. Depression, all those things are very serious issues, and like you said, it is hereditary, and I've I picked up a lot of those behaviors, and it affected how I've developed relationships today and allowed being able to be bullied as an adult in ways. So it is a severe an issue to bring to attention. But rejection is it's a horrible feeling. Nobody wants to feel alone, rejected, unloved. And I would say that's pretty bad to feel. Hmm.
You mentioned about now. So feeling rejection in relationships now, or being bullied now as an adult. What does adult bullying look like for you?
Um, well, as I got older, I found somebody. I was met my ex husband at the time, um, and I already had a lot of insecurity from growing up, and so I didn't learn how to make good choices, and so I was with somebody. You think you're going to meet somebody, they're going to be the man of your dreams, they're going to be your knight in shining armor, and then as you're in that relationship, there's just it became a lot of controlling, and manipulating and abuse in different ways. And as I went through that, there was a lot of, like, you said, how it grows into a lot of depression that I dealt with myself. I could understand with looking back, I can understand what my mom was dealing with, because I started to develop the same habits. And eventually, as I started to get stronger, it basically, I was married 23 years, and it wasn't until after the separation I started to get those the strength back, and then my voice. But bullying was definitely evident throughout the relationship and the marriage. And bullying is just one aspect, but when it becomes more severe, then it turns into abuse, and that's something that I'm experienced a lot of, and so that's why I'm glad to be on here tonight.
Yeah, I am so honored that you're sharing your story with us. It means a lot because it's not easy. It's not easy just to tell somebody how bullying as a child, you still experience bullying as an adult and in your relationships.
Yes.
And we don't even realize it. We don't realize the patterns that we're continuing or how we saw it in our families and we continue the same pattern. And I always tell parents, it is important to talk to your children about their relationships, about things that you experience in your life because they're learning and they're seeing it. And
Yeah.
they are replicating the life that you lead and the decisions that
Mhm.
you make. And
Yes.
it also goes to relationships as well. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
important.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we don't, when you're in a relationship, sometimes you don't realize the bad in the
You
moment.
almost, you see the red flags, the first date, you're like, I
Yeah.
saw how that person responded. Do they have a temper? And you see things, and then you almost want to like bypass it because you're like, no, this is just. But there's so many good things, and this person has so many wonderful qualities. So you like ignore things, but as you go through it, you're like, wow, there's a lot more that was there that um, I realized at the time I didn't see, but like you said, you see it later on, and you have those red flags that you kind of want to ignore at the time, but it's it's
It's
evident when
good.
those things that you go through are there.
Yeah. I look at people, I look at them when they're having these conversations about
Mhm.
domestic violence, and I listen to them as well. And they'll say things like, why didn't she leave? Why didn't he leave? Why would you stay? Why would you put yourself in that situation? If it was me, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I would have stayed. I would do this. But first of
Mhm.
all, you don't know what you would do unless you're in a situation. That's number one.
Absolutely. You never judge because you do not know what that person's dealing with.
Right.
And don't speak so quick because you might end up going through it yourself, and it's everyone experiences different things. No, never minimize what anyone is going through, because no matter how insignificant or you think it's not as severe compared to some other people's, to you that is your experience, that's what you're dealing with. So for you it is very severe because that is your life, and no one can minimize that and diminish that. That's what you're dealing with. um, it's interesting you say that because there were times, um, talking about the abuse, that I kind of started to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't use that word for me because I'm not in a shelter, or um, I'm not feeling that I'm at harm's risk, or my life's in danger. But the more you go through, you realize there's a lot of effects that, down the road that affect you. When it's a lot of it is verbal and emotional, that's even more significant, because then again that affects how you live the rest of your life and what kind of relationships you choose, and toxic environment the kids grew up and see things. And um, you know it's very important to realize everybody's experiences are different.
Everybody's. I will tell you, a lot of times people will say that the verbal and emotional abuse is harder because it's like always
Mhm.
there. Physical abuse, you might get a black eye or scratch, you might be in a hospital,
Yeah,
sometimes broken bones, but it heals.
it
It's
is.
hard to heal emotional and physical. And then we have the spiritual abuse, the financial abuse, all those different types of abuse that people
Yeah,
downplay, or they don't really acknowledge it as abuse,
yeah,
or they've been in a bully relationship. It might have been a parent that was bullying them, their father, their mother might have been a bully. And so they continue this pattern in their relationships,
right.
and they're in these bullied relationships, or even at work. You have work bullies
Oh
that
yeah.
absolutely cannot stand. If you're a work bully, get it together.
I had a boss years ago when I was young. I had a boss that was a manager in a bank. She was like a bully. I mean, she definitely, I remember those experiences. Like, but it's not, but it's also not to diminish. I mean, to say that the emotional and the verbal is severe, it's absolutely severe how you live your life, but not to ever diminish to somebody whose extent of physical harm.
Right.
Because I people say, like you asked why people say, why didn't you leave? Well, for me, I had children and I was trying to make it work. And the job, we were both in the same job, taking care of hundreds of, different children in the job we had. And so for me, it was a matter of, which is definitely, again, those negative thoughts. No one's ever going to want you, or how am I going to make it on my own? I'm not strong enough. So it's fear that leaves you stuck. But for people who, they say, why didn't you just leave? Well, if you realized that it was that severe, you probably shouldn't have been in the situation, or you wouldn't have been in the situation in the first place. So the fact that you're in that situation, it's not easy to just leave. And that's why, you have your organization, and there's other organizations out there to help people through that, because that is a scary environment to live in. And I'm actually grateful that I didn't have it to that extent. As you grow in life, there's forgiveness and healing and good terms that we're on, but, definitely there are effects to that. There's hope and, in the future to bring out everything you've been through to help others. And, I don't like to use the word victim, but not to have that mentality for the rest of your life. But there's definitely severities of degrees of what people deal with. So, like you said, it's important to not minimize those situations as well.
I always say when people tell me, well, I don't understand why they just don't leave, right? And you
Yeah.
know what I say? Because they didn't want to. Who are you to tell people when they should leave a relationship? It's not your choice. It's not your decision. And a lot of times you will see family and friends will get upset because their loved one doesn't leave, but it's their decision. And when they're ready, they're ready.
They're ready.
We provide resources, right? We provide resources. Listen here. Yeah, they didn't want to leave.
Scared, and like you said, they're not ready to leave. When you're ready to leave, or you're fearful. And some of the movies and some of the things you watch, they have to. I watched one the other day where the girl was like trying to fake her death because that was the only way for him not to find her. There's severity of degrees of this. And some people can't leave yet because they don't have that strength enough to do it. But when it's time and they get that, I'm going, and they do it, it's, live or die. And so people to say, why didn't they leave? Why couldn't you just leave? It's not easy to just pick up and leave, and that goes for anything in life, as far as sexual abuse, as far as being in an unhappy marriage, being in a job you don't like. It's when you're in that position where you have said, I'm done and I'm ready to go, or then you're going to leave, but nobody can tell you when that time is right for you. And no one should ever judge.
Thank you, because I'm going to use, how hard is it to leave a job? Sometimes it's really hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
I quit. You have to get things in place. And so we work with a lot of individuals to come up with a safety plan.
Yeah.
Come up with a strategy. Like, I am the strategy queen. I will help you come up with a strategy. But sometimes you don't have that friend, or you don't have that person, and you don't know what to do or how to do it. And you don't just want to leap out, and some people choose to go to a shelter, some do not. And that's their choice. And so I do believe that we could look back on our lives and see some things that we probably should have done differently.
Yep.
It is what it is, That's how I look at life. We should
absolutely
maybe do things differently. So it's important to recognize that and to be gentle with people when they're not ready to leave. So,
and to be through, like you said, those experiences in life could, people say I could have made different experiences, or I could have. And am I echoing?
You are not. You sound
okay.
great.
Okay. Some people say, like what you were saying, those experiences in life, that's what makes us who we are, and that's what makes us gives us the strength, and then that's what helps us to show compassion and be patient and gentle with people, because not everyone is at that point where you were, and so that's important to note about that as well.
I like it. I like it a lot. So that's important. You are very courageous. One, you're courageous just to be here to share, but you're also courageous to continue on because some people don't. Like you said earlier, suicide happens with bullying. You know, we have a statistics that 5% of our children commit suicide due to
It's
bullying. And if I lose one child, that's too many. That's too many.
devastating. It's devastating to see. I just couldn't imagine being the parent of somebody who deals with that. And they even get the negative comments, well, how you blaming it all on the child, or the blaming it on the bullies. Your child had mental issues, and sometimes there are, but sometimes, the children are so young, they're developing, they don't have that maturity and that level of, emotional and mental stability of where they're at in that life. And sometimes they're just at the point where they just feel that they can't go on because either the school's not listening, the parent, nothing's being done to help them, and they just um, end up taking their life, and it's devastating.
And we don't talk about it. I don't think we talk about it enough. We'll have maybe one presentation a year on bullying, but it might not have happened at that point when you needed to hear it. Or as children, they need to hear it multiple times. We're looking at children starting at the age of 9 reporting bullying. That's young. I remember at 9, I just wanted to be on a bicycle, and watch cartoons. And now they have to deal with bullying. And then forbid your child has a cell phone or access to a computer, because now they're dealing with cyberbullying,
which is so severe.
And children have access very early to electronics. And I don't think when parents give their children a cell phone or a computer, and they're even getting computers at school, that they have that discussion about if you're being bullied via text or on the computer or on social media, all the different social sites, Snapchat, the Instagram, the Facebook. And if you're being bullied there, how do you respond? And we have to have that conversation. So I was glad that you want to talk about it. And
absolutely. I believe that, and as I've just recently updated my story, there's been a lot of experiences that I look back at it that I've been through. And so I believe that I could help share for many different organizations that encompass a lot of things I've been through. And I definitely think it's important to open up and share what we have been through. Some people say you shouldn't, you should just move on, or can't you just put it in the past? Or some people say, why would you give so many details or share your story? Isn't that disrespectful to the people that either have hurt you or you've been with? And I say no, because of course I'm gentle and I'm going to be respectful the way I share, but it's important to talk about these things, because that's when these children, if you're talking about bullying, these children feel so left out or so alone because nobody's being an advocate for them. And it's important to share what is going on. So you saying you're grateful that I'm sharing, I'm so grateful that you asked me, because as I got older and I went through these experiences and I finally got my voice, I said, I'm not going to keep silent. Because so many years I kind of kept everything hidden, because, you don't want to bring attention to the person who's hurting you, or children, or the job you're in. And so you're like, you live in this world of everything has to be hush. And so your organization, Hush No More, is absolutely amazing, because you're bringing attention to much needed discussion of what is actually happening. And so I'm grateful that you actually had just mentioned that about bringing attention to it. It's so important.
It is. I was reading that 1 in 5 kids are bullied. And of the 1 in 5, only 46% said they have told a parent or a teacher. So you have to talk to your children about if they are experiencing this, right? Not only do we
Absolutely.
talk about have they been touched, we have to talk to them about are they being bullied? Because so many are dealing with this and they are not telling their parents. And I don't care what type of relationship you think you have with your children. I didn't tell my kids, my parents, everything. Your
No,
children are probably not telling you everything.
no.
So you have to sit down and have this discussion. So this is just to generate a way so that you could talk to your kids. And I am big on this, having these discussions in the car, at home, and also having other people talk to your children because they may not share it with you, but they may share it with an aunt, a cousin. They might share it with their godparent or something. But you want people around them that they can trust to talk about this because we give kids a hard rap. The ones who are failing in school, all of them are not failing because they're not smart. They're failing because of trauma.
Absolutely.
We have to look at the trauma that our kids are going through. And so how are you in school? Were your grades good? Being nosy now, Heidi.
Well, and this is a separate thing, but I didn't realize until later I suffer from OCD and ADHD, or ADD and OCD. And those are brain-based challenges. And a lot of that affected how I did in school and the trauma or whatever else I was dealing with. My mother was very sick from cancer, passed away when I was 13. A severe, where I was beat up severely in 7th grade. I have a lot of things I actually dealt with as well, but that affected, I think, my outlook on school. And I did not like school. I'm thankful I graduated. When I was in 8th grade, I mean, my mother she did go to the school. She was trying to help, figure out what was going on with my grades. I just did not like school at all. I love learning when people want to tell me things now. But I didn't do college. It's just, that's not me. I'm smart. It's just reading and school and sitting in desks. School was not, I did not like school at all. And a lot of kids don't like school, and some of it is trauma and some of it is just the way they teach you now is, I think maybe they're learning to change that, but sitting at a desk all day and reading a book and school was not my favorite thing.
Yeah. My son he was diagnosed ADHD, and it took me being very involved. You have to be very involved with your child and the teacher and the school, and then when you were going to school, they didn't have the 501s and
they didn't have any of those IEPs.
The 504. I was really big on advocating for my son and making sure that he had the right teacher and was in the right classes and got the right accommodations, but it was a lot of work. I used to be exhausted.
I know. We had to test our children from the moment they were 4. We were very proactive. My ex-husband was actually really good with that, just getting the right neurologists, the doctors, because that's so important. Because back then, we were just looked at like, oh, she's just a problem child, or she's just a brat, or there might be truth to that, but then there are reasons why we are struggling so much. But now you have to be so proactive as a parent, because the children, it's not easy going through school as it is, and then having those challenges with learning. And so that's awesome that you did that, because your son had that for you to help him so much. That's great.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised about the bullying that happens to children with ADD, ADHD, any type of disease, if they have epilepsy, if they're having seizures in the classroom, they get bullied. And so we have to have the discussion also for your child not to be the bully.
Yeah.
You have
Not
to
to
talk
be the
about it on
bully.
both sides. Yeah, we want
Not
to talk
be
to
the
the
bully.
kids that are the bullies as well.
Well, that's a huge thing for me as well, is not just to focus on who's being bullied, because that is important too, but the ones who are absolute or actually hurting the children, they need the attention. They need love as well. They need to understand, like, we need to ask questions of why are they doing this. A lot of times, which is true, is there's a lot of insecurities or things on their part, things that they've been through themselves and experienced themselves, and there's reasons why that they are treating others this way. And then you see a lot of the bullies the way the parents are. So it's like it follows this generation. And so the children that are being bullied, is important to discuss that, but it's also important to talk to the ones who are doing the bullying. So um, these are, I have a lot of passions and dreams and things that I would love to do in life. And that's one of them, is to also work with the children that are hurting others, because there are reasons why, but they need that love and gentleness as well.
Yeah, I love it. If it's a passion and a dream, you can make it
Oh,
come true. You can
it is.
do
Oh,
it.
it is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, you can do it. You have some comments. So let's go with the comments. Diane, thank you for sharing. Diane Louise, she said, Heidi, you are a beautiful soul, person, and talented friend. Jean said that you're gorgeous. Doreen Kelly said she loves Heidi. You were childhood friends. So your
Yes.
friends are representing. Hello, Carolyn. And Diane said you all became friends through her cousin. So that's pretty cool. So you have some friends on. Doreen said, I remember swinging on a swing with you, Heidi. You were a great person when we were growing up back then, and an amazing person now.
Who is
Doreen Kelly?
Doreen, yes, one of my friends growing up. Anyone who knows me, I mean, I love to swing on the swings. Like I said, if I had like a lot of money and I had like a really big yard, I would get this awesome swing that I could swing. I love it. When I was a baby, my mom put me in that swing, and I think I would just swing for hours. But I just love it, because it's just so peaceful, and the clouds, and yeah. So
cool. We got to remember sometimes that the things that we did as a child, we could repeat them as an adult. So
yeah,
I haven't done that in a long time.
It's
Diane, I remember, I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah.
Diane said that she loves you and your story helps so many. Thank you, Dee, for commenting as well. Pele said, thank you for sharing. That she really, appreciates your conversation. And Doreen also said that you came a long way.
I am hoping people see that. And I just, I would love just to be able to do this on a more permanent basis. Like, as you know, singing is my passion and my dream. And I would love to be able to do some public speaking where I can share my story in the different parts, and sing, and just everything you go through in life. It makes you who you are, and it made me who I am today. And so to me, it's not about staying in that life in the past of what I've been through. It's about healing and moving on and helping others through what they are going through now. And so I just love sharing, and I love helping and talking to people, and even a smile. People need a smile. They need a hello. That's important.
A smile goes a long way. I am always smiling and cheesing.
Me too. Cheeks hurt.
Pele said, you ought to be proud of yourself, Heidi. I'm proud of how far you have came, and your story will make a difference in people's lives. I agree. And Dee said, Heidi, you are being heard right now. Thank you for trusting us here in cyber world. It's very hard to do.
Yes.
Geraldine said, absolutely fear. So she was commenting to some of the things that you had said. Dory
Mhm.
said, involve parents in school makes a difference, especially for children who don't like school. Exactly. They have to be
Exactly.
involved. And then Diane says, so appreciate this. Too many kids are taking their lives because of bullying. Thank you. They really are. And one child is too many.
One child's too many.
And she said,
Absolutely.
I am a facilitator for Heartbeat, a support group for survivors of suicide. Our kids' loved ones were the victims. We survived. Our kids' loved ones were the victims. We survived. Oh, that's real hard, Diane. I would love to talk to you about that because Heartbeat, I love that. We need to be able to have this discussion. I'm sure it's a lot of parents who have struggled with that as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, I had lost a brother to it. It wasn't to bullying, but it was a lot of anxiety and the trauma of what, growing up and dealing with. And he took his life almost 3 years ago. He was 62 and he was incredible. And you look to him like, oh, he's my big brother. He was just an incredible man and father. And, but it's devastating to see what other people are dealing with, because that's another reason why I think it's so important to share what we feel, and what's going on in our lives, because you might be, and I truly believe this, you might be the last person that someone sees before they decide if they're going to live or not. A simple smile, as you were saying, it just makes a difference in people's lives. So it's just important to be that positive. It doesn't mean be fake, and have um, this fake happiness. You still have to deal with what you're dealing with and feel, but it's important to share because of there's so many people out there that are hurting. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people. And then when we wear this mask, people don't realize that you are hurting.
Yeah.
Right? You don't. It's a mask, and we've all worn them. Some people are still wearing masks. I am very transparent. I am open book now, but I wasn't always like that. And so I always encourage people to remove the mask and to
Mhm.
just be honest. And that's how we can help you, and that's how you
Absolutely.
get the encouragement and the love. But when you hide behind the mask, nobody knows that you need a hug, you know? Nobody knows that that smile goes a long way and that you really needed it because you're
Yeah.
hiding behind the mask. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. You need to be able to be open and helping others with that.
mhm. Dee said there's a huge difference between being sincere and being phony. Yes,
Oh, yes.
it is.
People are pretty smart too. They can see through that. And being humble is important too. I'm very humble. And if people don't see that side of you, they're not going to really want to get to know you, and they're not going to believe what you have to say. And so it's important to be real and be genuine when you're helping and talking to people.
Mhm. I agree. That's always my goal. My
Yes.
goal is always to be gentle because people are very fragile and you don't even know that they're fragile.
Hmm.
Just be kind. I always say if you show more love and kindness, the world will be such a better place.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
we would exist. We'd be able to coexist and wouldn't have all the problems, and especially bullying, because
Oh,
it really does lead to being bullied as an adult. The
it
possibility is
does.
there. Okay? Possibility is there. I am adding this to my talks here at Fort Hood. Thank you, Dee. So Dee is a victim advocate for the Army, and I'm very proud of her too. And so I think that this is a great talk for military units as well, because you
Oh,
find a lot of bullies in
absolutely.
the military.
I think you do see a lot.
Yeah, I had a sergeant major that was a bully, and I'm not going to put him on blast. Well, I don't care. His name was Sergeant Major Browski, and he was a bully. I don't even care
I
anymore.
mean, I don't think I wouldn't make it through one day. I'd be too scared because I've gotten my voice now, but I'm not confrontational. I don't like, I don't know. I would think that'd be pretty tough. You have to have some thick skin to be in the Army. And
You can do it. I tell everybody, if I can do it, you can do it. Because I'm not confrontational either. I'm not at all. So if
yeah.
I can do it, anybody can. But you do find bullies, and it's important to have those conversations as well as in the military. One thing that I did want to make note was that bullying happened mostly to boys and men. They're
Really.
the ones who are being bullied the most. And so when we look at the effects of trauma, it's really bad when it comes to our males. And then if you've been bullied, you have the anxiety, the
Yeah.
depression, you're
Yeah.
not doing good in school, all the signs of the things that we see. How can you be in a healthy relationship?
Yeah. And then they turn around and then they become the bully and they bully others. And it's just,
It's a vicious cycle.
you have to teach them how to be men and gentlemen. And it does starts from home, and it starts from within.
Starts from home and from within. Yeah. And teaching them love and kindness. And you have to be love and kind to your children, not abusive.
No.
If you're a bully in the home, your children could possibly be bullied outside the home, and, and it's just not fair. So
Yeah.
that's important as well. Well, we're
That's
getting close to our time. So I wanted to know, was there anything that you wanted to add that our audience should know?
Well, talking about, one thing I did mention, because I think it's important when you talk about the experiences and the hurt, it's important, and my goal in all of this is to help heal others and bring hope, that when you do the healing process, you want to move on and not be stuck in these situations. And like I said, when I will at some point post my story so people can read the story, because we touched on it tonight. But like when I said about being younger and being I was beaten up in 7th grade by a girl who basically would not allow me to leave the room, and then she had rings on her fingers. She was beating me up. It was pretty bad. And then I had to walk home with bruises and alone, in the dark at night. But I think it's important to know, as I got older, I actually reached out to her on social media, and I messaged her, and I just brought the situation up to her, and she had not even remembered what she had done, because she was going through a lot of trauma and different things herself. And so she apologized, and I said, I forgive you. I just wanted to know if she remembered any of this. And I forgave her for that. And, we are friends now and we talk on Facebook. But it's important to remember that you have to forgive others when you go through this, because that's going to be the healing for you. You don't want to hold on to that, because it's hard to move on in life if you keep that bitterness. You want to hold on. You want to forgive others for you so you can have that healing. And so I just want others to know that life is worth living, and you are amazing. You're on this earth for a purpose, and I'm here if anyone wants to reach out and talk to me. I'm very willing to do that. I'm on social media. My name is Heide Voglis. I don't I don't have any made up nicknames. People do on all those sites, but I love to sing, and sharing my gift of what God gave me and to help others is my heart, my passion, my prayer. So I just want others to know that you're worthy, and do not stay silent. I hope you can get your voice. And I'm grateful for you, Vanessa, because you have encouraged so many people to come out and talk about their stories. And I'm one of them. And I'm very honored that you had me on here to help bring attention and bring awareness to this. And I just think you're awesome.
I think you're awesome too. Two awesome girls talking together. I love it.
Hey, we'll share some coffee.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Diane, thank you for sharing your heart. Knowledge. Keep speaking up. We cannot remain silent. Very true, Diane. And Dee said that you are amazing. And thank you for your transparency, and God bless you always. And Diane said that she loves you. So the love is here. And I think it's important to share love with people who have experienced a lot, but also to share love with people who have not experienced because you never know what people have been through. We've all been through something.
Oh,
Not the same. We've all been through something. So I think that's important.
absolutely. You never know what somebody's going through. And like you might have someone in the grocery store and you're just so angry or they're just angry. And I just try to work. My mindset is not to react or to judge. It's to say, what is that person going through? There's a reason they're acting that way. And that's what I try to teach my children. Working in retail, you deal with a lot. And just, acknowledging people as they walk by, say hello. And like you said, that smile, because you don't know what somebody's going through. And just that presence of being that for them, they might be able to then get the help they need and then share their story, and then not stay silent, because too many people want to either live in that fear or maybe don't want to share. And it's important to keep spreading the word, because that's going to help others. And that is the goal in life, is to help others with what they're going through. Never stay, don't allow somebody to keep you stuck, and don't allow somebody to cause you to either diminish what you're going through, and be willing to be open, because that's important.
That is great advice. I truly appreciate you sharing that. And it's coming
Mhm.
from the heart. That is
Oh,
great
yes,
advice. Great advice.
absolutely.
Yeah. You mentioned the grocery store, and I do want people to realize this, that sometimes the only place a domestic violence victim or a human trafficking victim can go to is the grocery store. So we see a lot of victims in the store. That's
I
like their place that they can go to. So always remember, you never know what someone is going through when they're in a store, because this is like their little escape. And so they may have an attitude or be fearful, disgruntled. You never know what people are going through, because that is the place that they're able to go to.
Yes, and I've seeing what people are trafficking, and not realizing, like, I read a story of a girl who said that when she was dealing with that, that's where she would be sold, was in different places. And I'm not too far from Hershey Park. I lived in Hershey many years, and she was actually trafficked through Hershey Park. And so when you see these people and you see different people, you don't realize, like, what they're dealing with. And when you see them, a grocery store or a bank, or I worked in Macy's. So a lot of people get very irritable if they have to wait and be patient. But just be kind to the person in front of you, behind you, because you don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what they're going home to. But just it's not a funny note, but now that I have my voice, if I see people, I'm very keen to be watching situations. And if I see, like, and if it's been not too long ago, and if I see a man getting loud with a woman, like, I literally will, like, watch, and then I'll go over and, do I need to, come over there, because it's like I don't stay silent. You just get so protective of other people, and very important to, once you get that voice, nobody's going to silence it.
Yeah. And having the power to intervene is priceless.
Oh, yes.
Having the courage to intervene is priceless.
It,
And I tell people that all the time. It is
it,
our business.
I don't play. I'm not confrontational, but when I see situations, I don't. Like, someone says, someone hurts my child, you know what I mean? But if I see, somebody trying to hurt another individual, I immediately will stop and try to see what I can do. If it's children, if it's an adult, if it's a woman, it's not going to happen when I'm there. And that's why it's important to experience what you do, and get your healing, get your voice, and definitely be that help for other people.
I
It's
love
like what you're doing.
I love it.
I
Thank you.
love your smile. Your smile is just you're so gorgeous. Like, I love it. It's just
Thank you.
beautiful. This
Thank
is so
you.
stunning. And you could see how I've read your story, or I've spoken with you, and you've been through a lot in your life, and you're just so like you can see how you've healed, and you're just amazing. I'm so grateful that you have started this organization. It's just you're so helpful and just amazing. And so
this is about you, but I will tell you that
I
when
know.
you get joy, you can see joy. I can see joy on your face. You can see happiness, true happiness. And this is a sober look. This is what you look like when you become sober. So maybe that's some encouragement too.
Well, I'm sure that's the case as well, but it's nice because like when you smile, it makes me smile. It makes other people smile. So it's
Yeah.
yeah. So
So yeah, I have that sober glow. That's what I call it.
I'm always smiling, laughing 24/7. It's like, people are like, "You ever get upset? Why are you always so happy?" And I'm like, I mean, I have a very strong faith in Jesus too, and that's helped me so much. But I'm a happy person. I have this motto, and I'm the glass half full. Everything I've been through, everything, I don't know. I just turn it into a positive. It's a reason for it is to help somebody else. And yeah, I have a lot of joy and happiness, and um, I'm almost 50. So I don't know how much longer I have on this earth, but I have a purpose, and smiling is I always smile.
I love your purpose. I love it. So
Thank you so much.
joining us tonight, Heidi. You have truly been a pleasure. So this has been a great conversation with Heide Voglis. She is amazing. You can find her on YouTube. She sings. She has the most beautiful voice you want to hear. So Google her name, and she's going to come up on YouTube. And I'm also going to share some of her videos as well, because that's what she does to help heal, is through music. So
it is my heart.
That is her heart. So follow her and just get to know more about Heide. And hopefully you will see her on this large platform one day, speaking and sharing her story, encouraging children, because it is important, parents, to talk about bullying and cyberbullying. If your children have a cell phone, a computer, which most of them do, you need to talk to them about bullying that way, through social media, through email, any way they can get access to the internet, text messages, and also in person. And they do not tell their parents because it's embarrassing. So have the conversations, be proactive, know their friends, and be in their lives, because it really makes a difference. And we don't want to raise children who are broken and who are affected by bullying, because it affects their schooling, their grades, their mood, all of that. And we don't want to lose any more children to suicide. So please, let's have this discussion with your children, not only about who should touch them, who should be around them, but also if they're being bullied. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I also want to remind you that we have some events coming up next week for Hush No More Champions. We are going to have Kiever, let me say her name right, Kiever Murdahl, and she's going to be talking about the effects of domestic violence on our community. So when we lose an individual in our communities to domestic violence, it hurts the family, it hurts the employer, everybody is affected from domestic violence. So we're going to talk about that next week, and I'm really excited to have that conversation, because we don't want to lose anyone else to domestic violence. Here in South Carolina, our numbers skyrocket through women dying from domestic violence. You can die if you stay in that relationship. So it's important. March 30th, Tammy Mobley is going to be here, and we're going to be talking about how you turn your trauma into success. You can do it. You don't have to be stuck. You could turn that trauma around and really make a difference in your life and in other people's lives too. So we're going to talk about that on March 30th. Every Thursday, we have art therapy at 7 p.m. So join us for art therapy. It's free. It's fun. You don't have to know how to color, draw, or anything. I'm not artistic, but I love to have a great conversation, just a safe space. We also have Sexual Assault Awareness Month coming up. Look in your local area for events, but events for Hush No More are going to be online and in person. So April 16th, we have spoken word. If you know poetry, love to speak, love to read poetry, written poetry, sing poetry, would love for you to join us. That is going to be virtual. April 17th is Survivor to Warrior. We're going to do some self-defense training. If you're in Columbia, South Carolina, wear your mask. We will be social distancing. We would love for you to join us so that you can learn how to fight back. And we'll be doing that one live too. So you can follow us on our page to join into that one. April 18th is going to be the Hush No More documentary screening. So join us. That's about all the Hush topics. Grab your popcorn. It's going to be a great documentary. Time for you to learn some information and be able to talk about those topics that we discuss all the time. April 24th, this is what I'm really excited about, is our Child Sexual Abuse Forum. Parents, children are all invited to talk about child sexual abuse. Okay, so it is very important. You can always reach us at hushnomore.org. You can reach us at info@hushnomore.org on all social media platforms as Hush No More. And we're always here to help you. We offer free counseling and a voice for you to, not a voice, an ear. We offer you an ear to listen to you. And we also give a voice. We have a voice for survivors as well. So thank you for joining us, and you have a great night.